I do forgive you.
I forgive him.
I feel forgiveness in my heart, even for the guy that shot and killed my son.
So I had to forgive them.
Did you forgive for his sake or for yours?
No, for our sake. Not just us, for our sake.
I would never talk to her ever again. I would never be able to hold her again. But I forgive you.
You know, I forgive you, my family forgive you.
We enjoyed you, but may God have mercy on you.
We have no room for hate, so we have to forgive.
I forgive you.
This video is about me asking the question of why blacks or so-called blacks are so quick to forgive their white or so-called white assailants. It's also a two-part question for you guys. First part being, do you think it's better to forgive so-called white people that you or your family member has fallen victim to, whether it be a police officer or a regular civilian? And the second part of the question is, why do you feel it's better to forgive or not to forgive these people for the crimes they've carried out against you or your family member? Now, I'm going to share with you my feelings about this, and I'm also going to back them up with scripture. So let's jump right into this, shall we? Now, I'm going to be speaking about three things out of the Bible, and I'm going to be giving my breakdown on each one of those three things, letting you all know what they mean. And you can also give your own opinion or your own meaning if you wish to do so. But I'm going to break down what they mean right out of the Bible. So let's get ready to go in. Now, the first thing we're going to be talking about is forgiveness. And we're going to be reading out of the book of Matthew, Matthew 6:14 through 15. You can read it for yourselves. I'll give you time, and then I'll explain it. Okay, so Matthew 6:14 through 15 says, "For if you forgive men when they sin against you, your heavenly Father will forgive you also. But if you do not forgive men their sins, your Father will not forgive your sins." Now that's pretty cut and dry right there for me. I don't know how you guys feel about it, but I live by the Bible. So to me, that pretty much telling me that you have to forgive people for the sins they commit against you. And I'm not saying nothing's wrong with that. That's what it is. It is what it is. If you want to be forgiven, you have to forgive. Now, in the same token, forgiveness and righteous justice go hand in hand, if you ask me. And here's my reasoning behind making that statement. As you can see, I've put up a picture of the Bible verse from Exodus 21:23 through 25. And it lets you know right there the law of taking someone's life maliciously or causing harm or injury to someone with the intent to, not by accident, is what that means. Then that is what you get in return, which is why I said that forgiveness and righteous justice goes hand in hand. Now, some of you may say, well, what about turning the other cheek, which is the next thing that I'm going to talk about. But before I do talk about that, I'm going to give you another verse to further substantiate my explanation for forgiveness and righteous judgment going hand in hand. And that other verse is going to be Numbers 14:18. And as you can see, it says, "The Most High is slow to anger, abounding in steadfast love." But as you get down to the bottom of the verse, it also says, "But he will by no means clear the guilty." So that being said, if you wrongfully or maliciously or intentionally harm someone in any way, hurt, bruise, burn, murder, then yes, forgiveness is required. But at the same time, the law must be followed, which is eye for an eye, tooth for a tooth. Now, as I said before, a lot of you may bring up the turn the other cheek. You know the book of the Bible, Matthew chapter 5, verse 38 through 39. Now, I'm going to break that down for you. What that verse or those verses mean is, say for instance, someone does something to you that is not worth even arguing over. Then turning the other cheek simply means you just let it go. You let that incident go. But if you feel like turning the other cheek is turning the other cheek, then let me pose this question to you. If someone kills a member of your family, are you supposed to turn the other cheek and allow them to kill another member of your family? I think not. This is why I say turning the other cheek is like saying, for instance, someone said something to somebody about you behind your back and it got back to you. And instead of confronting that person in anger or with violence, you just let it go. Don't even fool with it. That's turning the other cheek. Someone may owe you money and they may have not have paid you when they said they were going to pay you. Well, instead of going after them with malice, turning the other cheek would be allowing them to just keep that. If that's the way they want to do it, they can have that. That's turning the other cheek. But let's go ahead and talk about whether you would forgive someone who intentionally murdered a family member of yours and your reasoning for choosing to forgive or not to forgive that particular individual. Now, as you've seen, I've shown you a good amount of clips where there were people who were forgiving, people of color mostly, who were forgiving the people that had taken their family member's life. But the rest of this video is going to entail people who were not so forgiving. So I'm going to go ahead and roll these few clips, and then you can give your opinion on whether you would forgive or wouldn't forgive. And then I'm going to try to end the video there because I don't want the video to be super long, but I do want to give people a chance to chime in and make comments about what they would do in those situations. So without further ado, let's go ahead and put up these last few clips. Now in this clip, you can see that the individual who perpetrated this crime was a 10-year-old child, a girl. She ended up stomping on the head of this baby, and ultimately the baby succumbed to his injuries. But as you can see, the father said that he would not forgive her. He would not forgive her. So let's go ahead and roll that clip.
This heartbroken father says he can't forgive the 10-year-old girl now accused of stomping on his baby's head.
As opposed to seeing it as a 10-year-old girl, I seen it as the person who killed my son. And she, in my opinion, deserved to be in shackles or handcuffs. She's a criminal.
Nate Lytle is speaking out for the first time since the death of his 6-month-old son, Jackson. Seen here in new video just released by the family.
It really hit hard.
The disturbing sight of a 10-year-old in court charged with first-degree murder shocked the nation. Her parents tried to comfort their weeping child. The grieving dad says he sat in that courtroom hoping she would see him and understand what she had done.
It was a split second, and then she buried her head back into her dad's shoulder.
The girl is said to suffer from severe emotional problems. She was living with foster parents who run a daycare center outside Eau Claire, Wisconsin, where baby Jackson was enrolled. The girl told police she was holding Jackson when he fell out of her arms and hit his head. Then she panicked and stomped on the baby to stop his crying. An imprint of her shoe was found on Jackson's head.
He's having a hard time breathing and his head is swelling.
Jackson fought for his life for 2 days, but succumbed to his injuries. Now, his dad is left with his memories of a happy baby whose favorite toy was his bouncer.
She's a criminal.
Now, in this clip, these two men are convicted of murder and have served 8 years for killing this mother's 2 sons. And you can hear in the clip, this mother says, forgiveness is not even on the table, not even an option. So give me your thoughts.
Golden and Bloom were hijacked after leaving a party in Camps Bay. They never made it home. This is where Brett Golden and Richard Bloom's bodies were found lying. On their stomachs, naked, each with 2 gunshot wounds to the back of their heads. 2 men have been convicted of the murders and are serving 28 years behind bars. Jade Weinhardt and Nushad Davids, who were convicted of kidnapping and robbery, were paroled today. They've served more than 2/3 of their 12-year sentences.
I think forgiveness is not on the table. We're all still feeling very raw. It may be 8 years since it happened, but it's the loss of our children, and anybody who's been in the unfortunate position of losing a child will know that you can never get over it.
Now, in this clip, this mom's son was killed by one of his supposed friends, and she tells him it will be a cold day in hell before she forgives him. Now, I can understand why she feels that way, because she lost her son, and anybody that loses someone that close to them is going to be angry, hurt, and they're going to want revenge or justice or both. But listen to what she says to him.
On December 29th, 2014, I got a call that my son was dead. In my heart, I knew you did it, Trayshawn. Because on September 25th, you was over there, laughing and giggling. I told Philip you were so grimy to keep you away from the house. I knew y'all all grew up together. Me and your mom have a 20-year friendship. He told Mom, I know how he is, but that's my friend. And then you had the audacity to call the house, saying you was about the situation. You send your condolence. But all along, I already knew that you did it, and I told that you did it. You got the audacity to sit here and ask for forgiveness. It'd be a cold day in hell before I forgive either one of y'all.
Now, here you see in this clip, Michelle Hathaway speaking about Russell Bishop, the man that was convicted of murdering her daughter and her cousin. Now, she says she'll never forgive him for what he did, and that's understandable. She also said he doesn't deserve to breathe the same clean air as everybody else. Now, I get that, but let's go ahead and move on to the next clip.
After 32 years of fighting, we finally have justice for Karen and Nicola. Time stood still for us in 1986. To us, them beautiful girls would always be 9 years old. They would never grow up. We've been deprived of a happy life to watch them grow into adults. What people like Bishop inflict on the families of their victims is a living death. They take the lives of children, but they also take the lives of the families left behind. Kaz and Nikki, as they were affectionately known, friends playing out together, only to have their lives wiped out by a sexual deviant, a monster. What's been hard, horrendous and heartbreaking is to hear that they were murdered by a disgusting paedophile who we actually knew, and them 2 girls liked and trusted. He abused that trust. Heart-wrenching. Bishop doesn't deserve to breathe the same clean air as we do. After all, he decided that day to strangle the life out of our 2 angels, leaving them nowhere to breathe. What makes a man want to squeeze the life out of 2 innocent children with his bare hands? Unbelievable, when he had a child himself and another on the way. He's a coward without a conscience. I don't believe you can rehabilitate evil. I think Bishop was just born that way. People talk to me of forgiveness, but I can never forgive or forget what that evil monster did to my beautiful cousin Nikki. I'm trying so hard to get my head around this, but I will, because I'm a fighter and I'll never stop being strong for my family.
Now, in this next clip, you see a Lubbock police officer saying that it's hard to forgive this man who shot him. He was shot 4 times by this guy, by the way. But he stated that he was happy that, or he was glad that it was him that was there that night that it happened to. And he was glad that the guy didn't die, that both of them walked away from the incident. But he also stated that it was hard to forgive this guy. Like, he's saying that he can't forgive him because he shot the uniform. So he's putting a great stipulation on police being shot and people not being forgiven for it. At least that's what I'm getting out of his statement. But let me know what you think, and let's move on to the next clip.
We're pleased to finally have an end to this. It's been nearly 6 years now, waiting on it to process through the system, and now we're finally done. There's nothing that I think that I wasn't meant to be there for. I thoroughly believe I was put in that exact place at that time for one reason, and that's because I survived it. I think that God placed me there, and I'm not going to back off and choose a different career over one bad stance. That was a bad night, but just being silly, all these came after that. I'm not worried about anything. It's not in my hands. I can prepare for work, I can train. We always train, but you can never train to be ambushed. That will always happen. You'll never know about it. It's just going to happen. And what you do with it, that's not up to me. It's up to God. 100%. Police family is a family. There's no difference in my blood family and my blue family. They have done more for me than I could ever ask for. They're there in times of need. I still hug them, we still talk. We know more about each other and how we deal with things, sorry to say it, than sometimes my own wife does. We handle things differently, and we handle things as a team. The police family is a family. I was happy to be there that night. He shot, I shot. We both made it out alive. I'm thankful he didn't die. I don't know what I would have done if I would have taken someone's life. I'm very thankful that he and I met that night and that it happened as it did. He shot the uniform. It's kind of hard to forgive. It's kind of hard to forgive that. There's thousands of officers all over the world, hundreds of thousands that wear this uniform. He did not shoot Tim Varner. He shot an officer, and that's pretty hard to forgive. He had no idea who I was, and I didn't know who he was. He did not shoot me that night. He shot the uniform.
Now, in this next clip, this guy has killed this woman's daughter in an automobile accident, but he was charged with aggravated vehicular homicide, and he was sentenced to prison. However, check out the anger that this mother has for him. She even goes so far as to make the statement that she hopes the judge says, there he is, do whatever you want with him. And she then stated that she would kill him. Now, let me tell you, that's a genuine emotion when you lose your family member. I'm telling you, I get it, but man, where's the forgiveness? Moving on.
Sentenced to the maximum punishment for killing a woman, but the family of Lisa Hastings still isn't fighting for their daughter. 9 on Your Side reporter Kendall Harold live in our newsroom with the story you'll see only on 9.
Well, Brian, just hours ago, Dennis Alsop was sentenced to 8 years in prison for killing a 22-year-old woman in a car crash last year. Now, that's the maximum sentence for an aggravated vehicular homicide charge. And during the emotional sentencing, the victim's mother made sure Alsop understood what he did.
You did this to her. And when you were asked, do you know what you just did? And you said, no. This is what you did.
Now, Alsop did read a short letter apologizing for the crash, but Hastings' family repeatedly said in court today the 20-year-old had no remorse.
I wish whatever prison you go to, the most violent prisoner there hates you too, and that you're scared of him every day. I wish you hate prison and you want out. I wish you do things that get you more time so you can stay there forever, because society doesn't need you. I wish Judge Allen would say to me, there he is, do whatever you want. I would kill you. You killed my daughter.
Now, in this next clip I'm about to show, you have a guy whose neighbor finally, after some time, confessed to killing his son, stabbing his son, and he was sent to prison. I think he did like 28 years or something like that, and then he was eligible to get out. But you're going to see in this clip that the father stated that if wherever he is, if he's anywhere close to him, or if he knows where he is going to kill him. I want to go ahead and roll that clip.
An outraged father is lashing out at the man who brutally murdered his son back in 1975. Michael Woodmansey could walk out of prison 12 years early, and that has John Foreman threatening to track him down and kill him. CBS News correspondent Michelle Miller joins us from Cranston, Rhode Island this morning with more on the story that is causing a stir across the nation this morning. Michelle, good morning.
Good morning. Michael Woodmansey was transferred to this correctional facility from a Massachusetts prison 1 week ago. It's here that he'll undergo a psychological evaluation to determine if he's fit for early release this summer. State law allowed him to earn time off for good behavior for a crime he committed when he was just 16 years old.
Through death, there can come new life.
More than 3 decades after 5-year-old Jason Foreman was brutally murdered, Michael Woodmansey, the man convicted of killing and dismembering him, could be released from prison 12 years early for good behavior. Enraged by the news, the boy's father called into a radio talk show on Monday to publicly threaten his son's killer.
I do intend, if this man is released anywhere in my vicinity, or if I can find him after the fact, I do intend to kill this man.
It was 1975 when young Jason went missing just 30 feet from his suburban Providence home.
Bring him back to me, because we miss him very much and we have to have him.
For the next 7 years, Jason's parents agonized over what happened to their beloved son. Police searches came up empty. Finally, in 1982, a neighborhood teenager, Michael Woodmansey, confessed to stabbing Jason in the chest. The lead detective, Ron Hawksley, is still haunted by what happened.
We found a shoe box that had bones in it. They were all cleaned and shiny. They'd been shellacked.
Prosecutors cut a plea deal to spare the family from having to hear the gruesome details of the case, a decision John Foreman says he now regrets.
It was a shame he only got 40 years to begin with. He should have got life sentence.
But now, after serving only 28 years of a 40-year sentence, Woodmansey could go free in August.
I'm beside myself. I can't think. I can't sleep. All I think about is trying to find a way to get to this man to kill him. That's my every thought.
Now, you can tell me, what would you do in that situation? How would you feel about it? Do you agree with this guy? Or would you forgive and let bygones be bygones? So guys, with that last clip, I'm going to go ahead and wrap up this video. I just wanted to get your take on whether or not you would forgive or not forgive someone who has done or committed a heinous crime against you. Now, you know I couldn't leave without giving you some bonus footage to ponder over and give your opinion on whether or not you will forgive the people in these last 2 clips who committed these acts and made these statements. I'm going to go ahead and end the video right here. Like, share, subscribe. Comment in the comment section down below. And may the Most High bless and keep you and your families. Bless you all.
I don't know what to say to you right now, but I'm just shaking your hand and let you know it's good. The sheriffs were surrounding us, mind you. And the next thing you know, boom.
Chill. Hey, chill. You ain't gotta grab him like that. You ain't gotta grab him
What
like that.
was it that made you grab me rather than grab him? Was it because I look like this? Little young black dude, dreadlocks, tattoos, in the middle of probably the whitest place that you can be. They wanted me to be what I look like. When it came out that he was getting probation, it was like, what? Thing people don't realize about racism is subtle. At that moment, we stood there face to face talking. He started like crying in front of me. Anybody that knows me know I'm not this dude that's like, oh yeah, man, get out my face with all that, you know what I'm saying? Like, I was like, it's good, you good, bro. For you to break down crying in front of all these people, he felt some sense like, damn, I up immediately. People were, how could you do that? That white man did this, he blah, 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 blah.
I just can't believe the brother forgave dude for hitting him.
People were literally on the internet saying, you should have got your hit back right then and there. I'm like, why though? Because first off, I would have been locked up. Then what? It's gonna be a free Rakeem hashtag? Justice for Rakeem? Like, for what? He was probably sheltered. He's old, and his thought of people who look like me is skewed. He probably think like, oh, this is the only way he gonna respond. On top of that, you got this man cheering you on, plus 10,000 other people. I just always wanted to make sure that my kid could look at this and be proud of what he sees.
Reason to open the door. Now listen to me. Call the person that was coming to get you. Tell them they don't need to come. All right? Yes. Okay? So go ahead and call them. I'm going to take you to jail, and I'm going to impound the car.
Before that, she needs to go to sleep.
No.
But I can't call them if you don't open the door.
Why can't you?
Because I will not put my...
Use your phone. It's in your lap right there.
I just don't want to put my hands down. I'm really sorry. I'm just...
You're just really strong.
No. I've just been way too many videos of problems.
But you're not black. Remember, we only kill black people. Yeah, we only kill black people, right? All the videos you've seen. Have you seen any white people get killed? You have.